Welcome everybody to this webinar about enabling and customizing the Mirage 2 theme. I'd like to welcome my colleagues from Africa and from also welcome everybody from wherever else. I don't know where Uxbridge is, but welcome. Okay, so to begin, let's go to the first slide. Okay, the first thing I'd like to mention is a little bit about the DSpace theme history. In the beginning, DSpace only had one theme. Then the XML, what we call the XML user interface, was added with the Mirage 1 theme. In addition to the what they then forked off or split off as what they call the JSP user interface. So the JSP user interface was basically the original theme, and then the XML user interface was added with the Mirage 1. So now effectively we have two user interfaces, and with the XML user interface itself we have two themes, the Mirage 1 theme and now lately the Mirage 2 theme. So just to put this in perspective, now which interface and which theme for the chosen interface that you want to use is an investigation that I leave for you. The XML user interface uses all of modern web design technologies. It's the one I'm familiar with. I haven't done any customization of the JSP user interface. So just to be clear, we're focusing on XML user interface and the Mirage 2 theme. And we also expect that we don't expect you to have a deep knowledge of HTML programming or any web design programming. So I'll try to keep this as simple as possible. Okay, so the next slide. Okay, so what is Mirage 2? Mirage 2 is a responsive user interface. In other words, it will work well on devices such as mobile phones, tablets and desktops. So I'm not sure if you've seen a responsive user interface, but if you go to our repository and you try to connect with your desktop, and then you connect with your smartphone, and you change the smartphone layout, you change it from portrait to landscape, you'll notice that the elements move and fit the screen. There I just typed in the link to our repository, so you're welcome to try it now via your desktop and then via your smartphone, and you'll see how the interface adapts. Okay. So there, as I said earlier on, it allows you to do program styling for multiple devices. So if you want to connect to a much wider audience, including the smartphone devices, Mirage 2 is the ticket, is the interface to use and the theme to use. So XML user interface with Mirage 2 is the way to go. Okay, so to get this theme going, what are the requirements? Well, ideally you would have an understanding of modern Web 2 theme styling, and you'd have a pretty good background or understanding of cascading style sheets, and the Mirage 2 theme uses the Bootstrap cascading style sheets framework. And it would be also very helpful if you know a bit about JavaScript, so that you could customize it even more. You can customize the core code of the Mirage 2 theme. And there's a link then that will provide you details of what the Bootstrap framework is about. And then it'd be also a good idea to become familiar with how the theme itself is actually rendered from the Java source code. So how does the theme end up using HTML and style sheets and JavaScript, and how does the pipeline from the Java source code to the web interface work? So I have some details there. So it's also a good idea before beginning work on this theme to familiarize yourself with that pipeline from Java, to Saxon render it to the XML to XHTML, and then eventually to the HTML and CSS code using the Bootstrap framework. Okay, so those are the requirements. Further, my Mirage 2 customization and setup is based on the fact that you've installed DSpace according to my instructions, using a home folder, etc., etc. It really doesn't work if you've used any other way of installing DSpace. So it's really based on how I've installed DSpace using the best system administration practice, etc. Then DSpace has what they call an advanced customization method. I call it the overlay method, where you can copy some source code into what they call a modules folder, and then all the documentation there is in those links. And in the modules folder, that's where you do your customization of the source code. So you keep your source code clean, and you do your customizations in what they call the overlay modules folder location in the file system. So please take some time to familiarize yourself with that. That is basically the most of the it is the sort of the foundation of most of the customization on DSpace. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How would we enable the Mirage 2 theme? Well, if you're using the if you've used the method of installing DSpace as I recommended, you simply type this or copy and paste this into a terminal after connecting to your server, and then you'll be modifying the XMLUI.xcont file. And then in there you will see, if you look in that file, you'll see there's a part where the themes are, there's a theme list and a theme enabled. Just go into that file and copy and paste this in there and make sure that this is the only theme that's enabled. And it's as simple as that. Just copy and pasting that and then enabling that. And then more details about that are available on the link, and then on the GitHub link there is an example of the XMLUI xcont file that needs modifying. So once you've got it enabled, the next thing is to build the theme. But to build a theme, you need to prepare the server for the theme. This is the Mirage 2 theme uses a lot of modern web components that are not readily available out of the box as software packages with the Ubuntu operating system. So you will have to install some further components. So to install the components and software for the Mirage 2 is to just copy and paste this sudo apt-get command in there, and install all the code that's required: Git, curl, Maven, Ruby Compass, the default Java development kit, and the default Java runtime environment. The development kit is a definite requirement. Then there's a funny thing about Git. You need to redirect from port 9418 to 443 for Git to download secure stuff. So you just type that command. Then we need to install the Node.js software, the latest and greatest of it. You simply copy and paste that command into the terminal, press enter to execute it, and then just follow the instructions after that. And again, in that link there's more details of this. And then the next slide, you're preparing the server further on. You also need to install the Node version manager software. To do that, you simply copy and paste this command into the terminal and follow the instructions from in the terminal. Then you also need to install the Ruby version manager as well, and to do that, again, you copy and paste this command into the terminal and follow the instructions from the terminal. And again, there are all the details on that wiki page on how to do this. So once you've got all the Ubuntu packages installed, you've got all the non-Ubuntu packages installed, the Node.js, the Ruby version manager, and Node version manager NVM installed. Then you log out and then you log in again, because you need to have the proper what we call environment with the variables, and the only way to do that is to log out and log in again so that you get a clean environment with the correct variables. So once you've done that, so you've logged out and logged in again, then you type these commands one by one, or copy and paste them one by one. So the first command, SUDI, tells you to become the administrator, as a virtual, become an administrator in a virtual sense. Then you type the next command, which installs the Bower. Then you type the next one, installs Grunt. Then you install the next one, Grunt CLI. I'm not sure what these packages do, but they are essential for building and compiling the Mirage 2 theme. You cannot continue without doing these installations. Okay, so this is not part of the Ubuntu package. It's not a simple cut and paste from a previous thing. It can only be done after the previous packages have been installed. So then the next thing, well, the next thing is to actually build and compile the Mirage theme, and that's done in the same way. If you've copied and pasted or used my rebuild script, you can run the rebuild script, and then with the rebuild script, all you need to do is to add that -d mirage2.on equals true, and you just need to have that switch or those parameters to the end of the build script, as I've got here in the example, and you run that script in the source folder, the /home/DSpace/source folder. You run that command in there, and it will start to build and compile the Mirage theme. And I suggest watch carefully the Mirage build thing. There have been some bug reports where errors in the build have been reported via the command line, but the end of the Maven package build process says success. This build here is not foolproof. So watch the actual part where it builds the Mirage 2 theme to see if there's any errors, because as I said earlier on, there have been some bug reports submitted that the errors are not correctly displayed at the finalization of the build. Okay, so that's how you build and compile the theme. And again, there's more details there on that link there. Okay, so now once we've built the theme, and we've looked at the theme, we don't like the default theme, we want to do customize it. Well, the first thing we want to do is to make sure that we get the common elements right, and the elements I'm talking about is to make sure that the strengths here, as they modify the DSpace config file by copying and pasting a command, and then here the strengths, we want that to be enabled, which allows you to show the in brackets the numbers of items in a collection, etc. And then suggest enable, you want to be able, if you get your subject terms correct, you get enough subject terms properly recorded, when you click on an item, it will also suggest other items based on subject keywords. So we also want to enable that for the theme. This is not to do with customizing theme, but this is to make sure that we get the same consistent information on the websites. Then the other thing we want to enable is to show thumbnails of the PDFs or the images uploaded when any listing of items is done. So we get a consistent look for the information. Okay, so that's the first thing, is to get the common elements right. Then the next thing that almost everybody wants to do immediately is to modify the front page. The front page that has that little bit of introduction text and then has a listing of the communities and collections. Everybody wants to modify that. So if you've installed according to my instructions, you simply copy and paste that command into a terminal, and you open up the news-xml.ui.xml file, and you can modify the text in that file, copy and replace it. And here are some tags that you can use to create a heading in there. You simply use the head tag. To create a paragraph, you use the HTML paragraph tag. To create a list of items, you open it with a list, and then you open an item in the list, and you close it with an item in the list with the fourth command there. So the combination of 3 and 4 allows you to create lists of items in there. You can create HTML hyperlinks using the xref target equals tag, and then the target, type in your target and then close it, and then type in some description and close with a /xref tag there. You can also insert images using this command, figure source equals, and you can also bolden and italicize text there. There's plenty more that you can do in there. Please click on the link here. I have links to other people using who have done some very complex front page content markup. So just click on that link there and you'll get some more detail. So that'll get you a nice looking front page introduction text. Sometimes in the introduction text there's help text, etc. So the next task. Right, then the next task everybody does is they want to give their website the same colors as their institution. So it's a good idea to talk to your institution's communication or marketing department to find out if they have an official palette to be used on websites. At Stellenbosch University, we've basically settled on maroon, a light grey, a black, and an orange as our color palette. And if you want to see an example of our color palette, just click on that link. We also have official colors for each of the faculties. Each faculty has its own color, and there's also details on there. So in theory, I could theme our website to make sure that when you click on a faculty, the whole website color would change to reflect the faculty. I've tried that on our development server, it works. I tried to do it on our production server, it doesn't work. It seems to be confused about one collection that is not sequentially numbered correctly, well, not correctly, well, effectively. So I've disabled that. But theoretically it's possible to theme different colors for different faculties. So then to actually set up the palette, I didn't want to copy and paste all the instructions in here because it would just take too many slides. Is to please go to that link and you'll see all the instructions there on how to set up a palette for your website. Right, then the next thing is to use nice groovy fonts or clear type fonts. It really makes the website, gives the website a really crisp, clear looking way. Because the most important thing is you want to present the information on the website in a clear manner to the users of your website. You don't want to clutter the website too much and lose the information. So the way I approached it is to make sure that the user is presented with a simple and easy to use web design and easy to read, and it's very clear. So typography, the fonts is very important. And again, there's a link there with all the details on how to set up the typography for your website. Oh yes, and the next one, a lot of people, is the banner, the logo, the header at the top of the page. This is a major controversy about customization. Everybody wants their own banner, with their own logo, institutional logo, etc. So how to set that up is on the wiki again with that link there, all the details on how to do that. Just a tip, if you're going to use, if you're going to try and do that method of changing the color per faculty, you might have to then have a logo per faculty that has a different background color. So to eliminate that problem, what I did is I created a background, a banner with a transparent background color, so that if the faculty, we click on a different faculty, the background color would match then the faculty color, and it would change the banner background color, so it would look. You don't have to create banners per faculty or department. You just use a transparent background banner. Another thing about the logo, make sure it has a decent size, and I try to split the logo. My logo, unfortunately, it's a widescreen logo, so it doesn't look very good on a responsive thing. If I had more skills, I could build the banner out of cascading style sheet code directly. I mean, we could build an XSL. We could build the text as a dynamically responsive user element. But my design, mostly, as I'm happy, is like the way I split the banner. In the responsive user interface, it realigns at the correct key points. Okay, it's a bit of a hack, but it looks okay. So just make sure that test your logo with all the different standardized responsive user interface sizes. There's a user interface size for a smartphone, for a tablet, for a small desktop, and for a large desktop. But this is one of the most controversial ones, is setting up your institutional banner. Just a tip about the banner. Some design guidelines is after several types of banner logos, what eventually transpired is, what was useful is to make sure that you have your institutional logo displayed, you have the name of the repository displayed so that people are aware of what its name is and what it does, and you also have, if you're publishing as a library and supporting this as a library, is to have some detail about the library and the logo as well. So again, please have a look at our website, scholar.sun.ac.za as an example. As you can see that no matter where or which page you are busy working on with the repository, you're always aware of its name, who's publishing it, and what institution is involved, just by looking at the banner logo. Okay, another thing that's also people want to change immediately with the theme is they want to change all the places where DSpace is used as a brand or in the theme. So there are some instructions there on that page on how to change the word DSpace to, say, for example, Sun Scholar or My Scholar or whatever, to change that in all the places that's required with the XMLUI interface. And that's basically changing what we call the messages.xml file, and changing all the places where it says DSpace, and make sure it says you change DSpace to whatever name you give the repository, Scholar or whatever. And there's some links there. There's a link there on where you can change further details of the style. Okay, so please use that page. Again, there's just way too much information there to put up on the slide, but just be aware that what you're trying to do is to replace everything in that messages file with your branding. When I mean branding, it took us a couple of months to realize the name that we wanted for our repository was Scholar, and we branded it as Sun Scholar because SUN is an abbreviation for Stellenbosch University, so we call it Sun Scholar. In the beginning I called it IR1 when we didn't have a name for it, and then I used the DNS alias for Sun Scholar, and now it's official. It is scholar.sun, and it's going to remain that way, hopefully for the lifetime of this initiative. Okay, the next slide. Oh, okay, the document structure. This is another one that people love to change and to tinker with. When you look at the theme when it comes out, there's a banner, and then there's a trail underneath the banner. Then underneath the trail on the left-hand side is basically what we call the body or content part, where the articles and collection data and everything is displayed. And then underneath the banner and trail on the right-hand side is what the DSpace guys call the options part of the page, which has basically got details about clicking on indexes. It has details of usage or whatever. So there's a body on the left and the options on the right. And some people want to have the options on the left and the body on the right. And that's what I call the document structure, the layout of where the header goes and where the trail goes and where the option goes and where the body goes. So again, there's a lot of detail there on that page, and that allows you to swap the options and the body part around, but to keep the header and the trail at the same place. You would have to speak to your campus web design master or whoever that is to find out whether your institution is standardized on left or right, where the content is, or where the menu structure should be, or whatever. Like there's a very simple, quick hack there on that web page to swap the options around with the body page. In the Mirage 1 theme, the option is on the left and the body's on the right. With the Mirage 2 theme, the body's on the left and the options on the right. So if you want to upgrade to or want to use the Mirage 2 theme and you don't want to upset your users too much with and swapping those two elements around, just go here and you can swap them around so that they're the same, have the same document structure as the Mirage 1 theme. Okay, so that's what is meant by the document structure. Oh, another big one is the footer. People want to put a lot of details in the footer, help links, etc., etc. Again, I'd just like to say my web design is not, I'm not a professional web designer, so what I've done on the footer design is just to be able to add some basic stuff about copyrights, the contact us. So I haven't modified it too much. Somebody who's a great cascading style sheets and Web 2 designer would be, who gives some tips later on would be great. Because a well-designed footer is a great addition to a website. So to do some basic customization of the footer, please click from that link and you'll get some more details there. Erna, people are talking about lost sound there. Can you just tell me if you can still hear me there? Or where was the last slide where people could hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Hilton. So I guess it's just a problem of Titus, and I'll send him the recording.
Okay, so I'm going to continue. Thanks. All right, the next slide. There's some extra customizations that can be done. As I mentioned earlier on, you can create a theme per collection with the XML user interface. You can create some. You can create a style for your buttons on your website. The latest modern web design says that you should have buttons on your website, and the buttons are a call to action. For example, submit an item, and you'd have a button that says submit. So you want to create fairly good-looking buttons that create attention for these action items. For example, if you go to our website and you click on any item and you want to view it, I actually heavily customize the item view there so that on the left I have a button there for downloading the PDF or the bitstream, and I've highlighted it in one of our palette colors orange, so it's very apparent how to download the bitstream. It was not very apparent with the Mirage 2 out of the box where and how to download the bitstream. And then also in my item view, I made also very apparent how to look at the metadata behind this item, is to click on the metadata item, and that's a call to action button. So very important, in my opinion, is to create good looking, well designed buttons, and then to use them in the appropriate places to call to action on the website. Another thing with extra customization I did with the Mirage 2 is to remove all font settings in the cascading style sheets, and to use absolute font settings to try and limit my font sizing and font parametering to the Bootstrap parameters. So if it wasn't part of Bootstrap, I've eliminated it. So to try and keep my fonts a consistent height and a consistent weight, etc. So I removed all absolute I removed all static font references. Anyway, if you click on that page there, that link there, there's more details about the extra customization that I did with the Mirage 2 theme. Alright, and then when you're customizing Mirage 2 theme, you'll find out that every time you change the style sheet, or you change cascading style sheet, or you change an XSL style sheet, you'll have to rebuild the theme, and then you see what changes take place. And then later on I found out, digging around and after some discussion on the mailing list, that there's a quick way to apply changes to the live web app, and I've got those tips there on that link. So you don't have to rebuild the Mirage 2 when you change a little bit of style sheet, and you change a little bit of XSL style sheet, or you change a bit of a cascading style sheet. You can change these elements and see them happen almost in real time. But the condition is that you must remember to copy back from the live web app folders to your source, to make sure that your live web app and your source are the same, they're synced. And I've got example commands there to make sure that your web app is synced to your source code. So the next time you rebuild, you don't have surprises that the rebuild doesn't include your latest changes to your live web app. Okay, so just to repeat, please click on that link. This will save you a lot of time and heartache, and it actually makes customizing Mirage 2 kind of a pleasure. If you change something, just to watch magically it rebuild and a new style appear. This is a very, very highly recommended tip. Okay, and that concludes my introduction, let's say, to customizing the Mirage 2 theme. If you have the resources, if you can employ them or bring them in temporarily as a project, I suggest hiring a professional web programmer, pointing them to this wiki and this presentation to give them, to bring them up to speed with the Mirage 2 theme, and then let them use all their web programming and designing skills and knowledge to create a really good looking Mirage 2 theme for you. Cornell University has a great looking Mirage 2 theme. In South Africa, the Durban University of Technology is using the Mirage 2 theme. And hopefully as more South African and African repositories upgrade, they'll consider using the Mirage 2 theme. And then for your convenience, all the customization that I did for our Sun Scholar is available on my GitHub account, and you're welcome to download it and overwrite the Mirage source code on your side, and then you're welcome to just tweak my theme with your institution's palette, your institution's font preferences, the banner logo for your institution and everything. So you don't have to start from scratch, you simply download it and then apply it. And that concludes the presentation. So if you want to carry on with, you and Nathan want to carry on with items, you're welcome. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Hilton. So I guess that's time for your questions, sir. And if Nathan wants to add something, that's also a good moment. So please use the text chat to type your questions. And thanks, Nathan. Yeah, I guess while you are still thinking about the questions, perhaps we can talk a little bit about our last webinar in this series, which will be next Wednesday, same time. and it will be about DSpace customization. And what we would like to hear from you, what kind of issues you would like to see covered. So maybe what are DSpace customization issues that you would like to learn more about, or perhaps you tried to implement some issues and you struggled with them and you would like to have some clarifications. So you could also use the text chat now to write them down. And if you plan to attend our next week webinar, there will be a question about this in the registration form. So maybe I can put the registration link. So it's next Wednesday. Same time. So that's registration link and participation link is here for the next week. So I don't know, judging by the silence in the text chat, I guess you don't have any questions to Hilton. Like I said, I'll send you the slides and the recording URL within an hour or so. And if you're interested in DSpace customization, I hope to see you next Wednesday. And also Hilton will be happy to record some more videos. So also if you have some areas that you would like to see covered in recorded demos, please let us know either now or when you'll be registering for our next week webinar, or just by shooting an email to Hilton or to me. And thank you very much. Then I wish you all a very good day, and thanks again, Hilton, for being with us today. And thank you, Nathan, for being around in case there are some questions. So then I'll stop broadcasting for now, and hope to see you again next Wednesday, same time. And I'll be closing this session shortly. Thanks again. Bye.